of freezing already. We've got a light freeze now being reported in Burnett at 32. It's 32 in Fredericksburg, 30 right now in Mason. We'll put this into motion. You'll see how the temperatures continue to drop. We've been holding at 37 here in Austin now for the last hour, but we got all night to cool down. That's why a good chunk of the area will end up in the 20s tonight. That, with moisture in place, means there is that threat of at least some light accumulations of both freezing rain, sleet, and maybe even some snow flurries. Are we talking about enough winter precipitation that we can go build a snowball, a snowman? Absolutely not. We were in the 70s earlier today during the 10:30 time frame this morning. We hit our high in Austin of 75. We were 76 yesterday. We were in the 70s back on Saturday. We've had several days of warmer weather, relatively speaking, and that's what is going to help us avoid from a widespread ice event, right? So it's those elevated surfaces, bridges and overpasses where you got the cold air on top of the bridge, the cold air below the bridge, where you can have some slick spots overnight into tomorrow morning. For the most part in the hill country, but we'll have to keep an eye on the Doppler radar and the temperature here in Austin, in Georgetown, in San Marcos, in Hayes, Travis, and Williamson County, because we can't rule out even some slick spots here in Austin on the big flyovers. You got the big 45 fly from Mopac to 45. You got the big flyover down south as well. So those are kind of the areas that we're going to be keeping an eye on. So let me show you the new graphic that's just been produced here. So this is the winter weather advisory now in effect until 6 a.m. on Tuesday. And the Weather Service just in the last couple of minutes, just before we went live here on the internet, included Llano and Burnett County. So winter weather advisory, just a heads up to you at home that there could be some difficulties when it comes to traveling, but mainly on bridges and overpasses. I think primary roads, even secondary roads are going to be just fine. But if you've got a bridge and overpass, you got to keep an eye on that overnight because they could have some slick spots. So that's that winter weather advisory that's in effect. The National Weather Service does tell us just in the last 10 minutes that they're going to keep an eye on the conditions over the next couple of hours. And if temperatures continue to drop and we continue to have plenty of moisture in place, they may include metro counties, including the city of Austin, may, as we get close to the 10 o'clock hour. So not included just yet. It's mainly west of us, west of Austin in the hill country that has the greatest threat of some slick spots on bridges and overpasses. So let's just kind of take a look at temperatures, and then I'll show you the forecast model. I know a lot of you have got some questions about particular areas like Leander and Cedar Park. Let's get into that in just a moment, so just hang with me. 37 now in Austin, it's 32 in Lago Vista, 35 in Round Rock. So the only freezing temperature right now is Lago at 32, just hovering above freezing in Georgetown. It's 32 in Burnett, hovering just above freezing right now in Johnson City and Blanco, right at freezing in Fredericksburg, below freezing by 2 degrees in Mason. And you can see we've got upper 30s and low 40s for those that are watching east the interstate. You live east the interstate, I think for the most part you're going to be good overnight. You're going to freeze tonight, no doubt about it. But as you get closer to the freezing mark and below freezing, a lot of this moisture is going to start to escape down towards the south. So really concerned about primarily those bridges, overpasses, flyovers, metro westward at this point. There's a look at the wind. It's howling out there, 14 to 24 miles per hour. It's going to be like this all night. Got a wind advisory in effect through tomorrow morning. Let's look at those wind gusts. Look at Bastrop wind gusts just in the last couple of minutes at 37 miles per hour, 32 mile per hour wind gusts in San Marcos, and that's producing wind chills as cold as 20 in Fredericksburg, as cold as 21 in Burnett, as cold as 22 in Llano. Feel like temperature of 28 here in Austin. Tomorrow morning, wind chills in the teens everywhere, in the teens. As cold as 10 degrees for the feel-like temperature with the wind in some spots in the hill country. Just going to be brutal tomorrow morning. So let's just kind of go through this, and I'll make this full screen. So for those that are asking about a particular location, find your location on the map. So just get your bearings straight. There's downtown Austin. You live up in Leander and Cedar Park. You're up in here, right? You live in Buda and Kyle. You're here, Wimberley. So you get an idea of kind of where you're at. And this is showing, this is just a model simulation. So already I can tell you, models are not handling the cold air very well. It is underestimating the strength of this cold air. So we just look at this for guidance. And what this tells me is that we still have widespread moisture around at 11 p.m. And I think we're freezing Austin westward and we're in the 30s, and maybe even a few spots here in Bastrop, Caldwell, and Milam County are freezing. So these temperatures are just too warm. Again, this is just a computer telling us what it thinks is going to happen, but we already know that we're going to be colder than that, in particular in the hill country. So I think at 11 p.m. tonight, a chance of widespread light sleet, hill country, metro, maybe even just off towards the east of the interstate. And with these temperatures, for a couple of hours at or below freezing, this is when you can start to get some light accumulation on porches, on patios. We're already starting to see that in portions of Gillespie County. There's a look at 4 a.m. and we've got in pink, sleet. Of course, green is rain, and then you get into white and purple. That's the chance of some flurries, light flurries. So we're freezing over much of the area at 4 a.m. I think these temperatures out east are just a little too warm. So let's say you're 32, everyone's 32 or below. Everyone's freezing at 4 a.m. tomorrow, and that chance of scattered sleet, snow flurries, freezing rain, mainly seeing light accumulations on bridges and overpasses. By 7 a.m., majority of the models, there's still a few that wants to linger the moisture at 7 a.m., but I think by rush hour, the bulk of moisture is to the south of us. And look where the temperatures are tomorrow morning. In the 20s, we're cloudy, we're breezy to windy, wind chills 12 to 19, but there could be a few spots that are as cold as 10 with the wind chill. And because we'll be at or below freezing, any kind of light accumulation of sleet or freezing rain is still going to be there. We won't see that melt until probably after 9 a.m. Now, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to clear out. We're going to be mostly sunny by tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be cold tomorrow in the 40s, wind chills tomorrow afternoon, upper 30s and low 40s. And tomorrow night will be even colder. The good news for tomorrow night, though, is there won't be any moisture around, and we won't have much in the way of wind. So wind chill's not going to be a problem. We'll be mostly clear, so no winter precipitation tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, but a hard freeze possible, especially west of the interstate. Everyone freezes for several hours late Tuesday night into Wednesday, but a hard freeze is important to talk about out here towards the west in particular, because it's not just pets and plants, but it's pipe busting weather. It's going to be potential there. So area-wide freeze tonight, another big freeze, even colder tomorrow night. But tonight is the chance of the winter precip, not tomorrow. Cold tomorrow, still cool in the 50s. Wednesday and Thursday, we'll even have some showers around on Thursday, and then we'll be back in the 60s for Friday and this upcoming weekend. But it is not a pretty evening out there. It's damp, it's cold. We're getting those reports again of some sleet in Williamson County. Several reports I've seen, even portions of Travis County, Spicewood, Cedar Park, Burnett, Gillespie County, and the Fredericksburg area, all getting reports, ground reports from viewers about that. As far as school delays go, I don't have anything from AISD. That could change later tonight. We'll see what they say. And I think the next couple of hours are going to be telltale for not just us, but the meteorologists at the National Weather Service. There are some schools on delay. They're mainly out west in the hill country in Gillespie County, Fredericksburg, Doss, Harper. We have a complete list that's going to be updated this evening and overnight. We're staffed up, of course, all the time with someone here, and they'll be updating that overnight. You can find that on KVUE.com. So right on the front page, we'll have any kind of delays. And as soon as we get them, we'll do push alerts and all that kind of stuff as well. All right, so David says starting to get sleet and ice in Georgetown. If you have a report like that, I'd love to know. Accumulation, are you starting to see it accumulate maybe on a patio or deck, grassy areas? That's real helpful for us to know. Laura says, Cedar Park at 183, nothing. All right, well, that's good. We like nothing, but 37 right now in Austin. The Camp Mabry automated weather station, both in the last hour and this hour, reporting light snow. It's automated, it's just a computer there, but maybe it's picking up at least a little bit of sleet. I'm just looking here. Yes, so still that same unidentified precipitation is what the automated weather station in Burnett is reporting. Unidentified precipitation. Light snow, Georgetown. Let's see, unidentified precipitation, Lago Vista. I like that's how that's a category. But again, that's just a computer reading it out. Okay, there's a look at the latest radar scan. Let's put this in the live mode, and we'll zoom in and we'll show you. So, yeah, this is this is starting to come together now that temperatures are cooling. We're still above freezing here in Austin and over much of the metro. You saw. But you don't have to go that far up. You go a couple hundred feet up, you're freezing. So you can get a little bit of sleet, maybe a flurry or two, come out of the cloud, and then it's going to melt pretty quickly. As our temperatures continue to fall to and below freezing, it's going to take some time to get the asphalt and the concrete cool enough on bridges and overpasses. that maybe you can get a little bit of accumulation. But because we were in the 70s earlier today and this weekend, we're really not talking about accumulation on primary roads or anything like that. Grassy areas, patio furniture, again, decks and other things like that, you may see that happen. But there's a look at the Doppler radar. Radar's in winter weather mode. The greens and the yellows, that's the light rain, and then you see it kind of changing over there. In pink, that's the algorithm of the radar saying it's cold enough where the beam is, that this could be sleet mixed in with some rain. See a little bit of white too, kind of right in here, saying maybe some flurries and stuff. I haven't had any reports of flurries though so far this evening. It's mainly just sleet reports right now. Jerry Ann is saying lots of sleet in Johnson City. Let's put Johnson City on the map. So yeah, I appreciate these reports, everybody, because this helps us to say, all right, is the radar jiving with ground reports? So you can see how it just turned to pink there over Blanco County. So appreciate the report, Jerry Ann, of the sleet there in Johnson City, any kind of accumulation. Sylvia says no rain in Buda, so we'll zoom out. Yeah, so Buda at the moment, you're kind of in a donut hole of not a lot going on, but we do have this little tongue of moisture that's going to be moving over Hays County a little later on this evening. You can see how it's mainly kind of set up from Gillespie County up into Milam County, and the winter precip is still mainly to the west and north of Austin. Jesus is asking about school closings. So that information is going to be all on KVUE.com. I haven't heard of any kind of closings, just some delays out west in the Hill Country, but that list may grow as night goes on. But KVUE.com, that's the news department. They're the ones that are going to handle all of that and update it throughout the night. So check there frequently if you're curious about that. I'm just looking at if there's any new reports coming in from the National Weather Service. My friend Troy Kimmel used to be a chief meteorologist here at KVUE back in the 80s and early 90s before Mark. Says got very light ice pellets, sleet mixed in to rain at the Great Hills area here in Austin. Current temperature at his place at 34 degrees. All right, thank you, Troy. Just seeing if there's any other reports coming on in. Mix of rain and sleet, Leander Road at Austin Avenue in Georgetown. So yeah, the radar's doing a really good job tonight of giving us an idea of what's going on. So we'll plot the temperatures on here. We'll kind of center this map just a bit. And we're going to be dealing with this throughout the rest of the overnight. Kind of curious to see what the latest short-term model is saying. This is the high-resolution refresh model. And we'll kind of see what this one's saying. This one's going to go at 18 hours. So here's 8 o'clock. Yes, I'm telling you, the models have just underestimated the cold air with this system. So see how the HRRR, even at 10 o'clock, it's still showing just light rain. This is going to be mainly a sleet rain mix, I think, at 10 o'clock. And still keeps that moisture around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then kind of slides it down to the south. So by 7 a.m., majority of it's to the south, maybe some lingering areas of a flurry or sleet, and then we'll start to look for a clearing sky. So doing okay as far as moisture goes, but not doing great in terms of temperatures. We've been talking about this, since last week, that this front on Monday would bring the coldest air of the season. And models were cold, no doubt about it, but they've underestimated the cold air at least a bit, at least just how drastically the temperatures have fallen. Drew Knight says, are Burnett and Llano counties now in a winter weather advisory? Yeah, Drew, so just at the top of the hour, I'll pop that map up. The National Weather Service did decide to include in that winter weather advisory Llano and Burnett County. We'll get the blog updated here once we're finished with this update. But included in that winter weather advisory, all of our hill country here in the KVUE viewing area. At this point, it does not include the Austin Metro. That being said, we could get included later on tonight. The Weather Service is going to want to watch the radar the next couple of hours, and then closer to 10 o'clock, they'll make a decision about that. They know that, we'll be broadcasting at the top of the 10 o'clock, so they want to give us an update right about then. So it's the area in pink. What that means is the area in pink has the greatest risk for icy spots, primarily on bridges and overpasses, all right? Could we get a slick spot in the metro, Travis, Williamson, Hays County? Yeah, I think that's still possible, but the risk at this point, the Weather Service says, is going to be just west of us. That can change as the night unfolds. So that's why we're keeping you updated here tonight on what's going on. So again, there's a look at the Doppler radar. We'll keep an eye on this, and I'll plot the temperatures for you, and I'll kind of take a look at a few of your questions and comments and stuff. Christine is saying it's sleeting there in Leander. Great, thank you for that. Amber says it's sleeting here in East Austin, near Weberville and Pleasant Valley. Okay, so Amber, you're my first report east of the interstate in that part of the city getting some sleet. So the cold air is continuing to move to the east and to the south. Just taking a look on what everyone is saying. Betty is in dripping. Icicles are forming. Wow. So if you're new to this area, even if you're not new to this area, you've been here for a while, this is unusual for November 11th. If we were to have measurable sleet / snow in Austin, which is possible, we could have at least maybe a little bit of measurable stuff. It's possible, not likely, but possible. This would be the earliest time that we've measured winter precipitation in Austin's history. Right now, the earliest, I believe, is November 15th in the late 50s. I want to say it's 1959. But we can count literally on one hand in Austin's recorded history, weather history that goes back to the late 1800s of us having to deal with winter weather in the month of November. We just don't see it. December, yeah, every couple of years. January and February are historically the 2 months that if we're going to get winter weather, it's going to be those 2 months. That's the coldest part of the year, in particular January. But for us to be dealing with this situation, first half of November, super, super rare. Went back and looked at the record books. 1980 was a year that we had some measurable winter precipitation. We had a lot of Arctic air blasts in the month of November of the 1950s, several events in the 1950s. And then in 1937, November of 1937 is whenever we recorded the most snow in Austin's history. November of 37, we had 11 inches of snow in 2 days. So it can happen. It's just super, super rare. And why is this happening? That was kind of the big question in the newsroom today. Like, why is this happening? Well, you've got super, super cold air along the North Pole. And the forces of the atmosphere usually keep that real cold air around the poles. Well, it's weak, and that weakness allows for that cold air to spill across the northern hemisphere. And that's why, not just here in Austin, but across the country, getting this early cold blast, this early taste of Arctic air. Why is it weak? Why is that what they call the Arctic oscillation weak and allowing that cold air to spill out? You know, there's still a lot of research on why that happens. But anyway, that's kind of what's happening globally. But this is super rare for us that we're even getting sleet. It's just, I text message Mark Murray, who was the chief meteorologist before me for 26 years. I texted him this morning. I go, do you, because not in my 10 years, I've been here for 10 years. I don't remember us ever having to do this in November. We haven't. And he said once in his 26 years here in the early 90s. But gives you an idea. You can go your whole career and only have to deal with this once, at least in November. So let's get back into the forecast. We'll load our latest forecast model. Actually, let's see if we got any new temperatures, and then we'll go right into the forecast. We'll see if we got some of these weather stations that have updated. 35 here in North Austin, Mopac and Steck at the station. And still the only freezing temperature, 32 Lago. Just above freezing. Leander Cedar Park at 33 right now. 2 degrees above freezing at Spicewood and Marble Falls. But I already got a report of sleet in Spicewood. So maybe it's melting almost immediately, but you don't have to go that far up in the atmosphere, a couple of hundred feet, and it's already below freezing in many of those spots. We got freezing temperatures at the surface, Fredericksburg, Johnson City, 30 in Mason, hovering just above freezing Blanco, 32 Burnett, upper 30s, low 40s east the interstate. Haven't talked a lot about our friends east the interstate. There is a chance you'll get some sleet. Is it going to stick? Probably not. I think if we do get a slick spot, bridge or overpass, hill country, maybe the metro, that's something we're going to continue to monitor. The wind super, super strong, gusting at times 20 to 37 miles per hour. That's producing wind chills in the 20s over much of the area. It feels like 20 right down Fredericksburg. And I'll show you overnight lows. Let me pop that graphic on. This is another thing. So not record breaking tonight, but we could break a record tomorrow night. My memory, I went and looked at this stuff earlier. The record tomorrow night, I believe, is 29, set back in 1911. 1911, that's an old record. So we're going to be above the record tonight, but tomorrow night and Wednesday morning, we could have a record low. I'm going 25 tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. We're dry, so no winter precip tomorrow night, but it gives you an idea just how cold this air is, how unusual this cold air is. Average low for this date is 52 degrees. We'll be 29 tonight, and you can see up towards the top the wind chills tomorrow morning, 12 to 19 degrees at its coldest, as we still have that strong north wind in the forecast. Let's get a check outside. There's a look at our live camera. Got that light precipitation on the camera lens, but it's not frozen. 37 right now at Camp Mabry as of about 30 minutes ago. Feels like 28 with the wind. 28 with the wind chill. So there's a look at the Doppler radar, showing the radar kind of bouncing between sleet and light rain as it moves on in. We have the radar in winter weather mode, and what that means is the radar beam is really smart tonight. It's trying to decipher between liquid and sleet pellets, potential freezing rain and flurries. And you'll see it's a little hard to see let me make this big. You can see the key at the top of the screen. You get that little ice, sleet, in the pink color, that mix, that freezing rain and sleet in purple. And then if we see some white, you see a little bit of white here and there, radar detecting some flurries. You see the yellow on there, and if we were showing this outside of cold weather events, that would indicate moderate rainfall, but not tonight. This is all light precipitation, so it's not pouring in Cameron, but what the radar beam is picking up in those yellows is some ice aloft or higher up in the cloud top. That's what that's telling us, that the radar beam is hitting some ice in the cloud top and it's not quite making it to the ground. So that's a look at our winter radar, which we only use a handful of times a year. We put it in winter mode for you. But tonight's a good night to use it, and it's doing a great job so far, jiving with your ground reports. Ruth, how are you, Ruth? Ruth says wind is blowing something wicked and the rain is splashing against the window panes. A good night to curl up with some hot cocoa and a great book. I'm right there with you, Ruth. I love that idea. Michelle says, have freezing rain here in West Georgetown. So, Michelle, you're saying that it's coming down as a liquid and it's freezing now as ice, or is it little pellets, because that's sleet? And it gets kind of confusing this time of the year because we don't deal with winter precipitation all that much, but if they're little pellets, it's going to be sleet. It's coming out of the cloud as ice. If it comes out of the cloud as a liquid and then freezes on a surface, that's freezing rain. So let me know what you got there. All right, Clara saying water in my windshield is turning into ice. Wow, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use the defroster. But most of the roads are gonna be fine. It's those bridges and overpasses. That's the reason why we're kind of on tonight on this kind of long form digital cut in on Facebook and on our app and on KVUE.com, just so you're kind of aware about if you're doing some traveling late tonight or early tomorrow morning. KVUE.com, that's where you can not only see the radar, which is also in winter weather mode, but also our great digital team and reporters and producers will be updating a list of any kind of delays that we see. And there's already, as far as schools go, already a handful of school delays for tomorrow morning out west in the Hill Country. All right, so you guys still keep typing. I'm just going to take a look at the Weather Service. Reporting some winter weather precipitation in Kerr County outside of our viewing area, reporting a little bit of sleet in the last couple of minutes, 1 mile east-southeast of Leander. So, you know, you all are reporting it just with us, and we love that. And they're getting the same kind of reports. Just taking a look at my Twitter, see if we got any other folks that are coming in with some reports. All right, good deal. Is it going to be crazy tonight? Are we going to get a bunch of ice and snow? No, that's not this kind of event. If we had this same setup after a prolonged cold stretch of weather, our soil and the asphalt and the concrete was already cold and it could support, you know, accumulation, then, you know, we'd have a little bit more concerns. But because, again, we were in the 70s earlier today and this weekend, we're not going to have widespread big issues. It's just going to be on those elevated surfaces just because you have that cold air on top of the bridge, cold air below the bridge. And you can see it's already adding up at 726 tonight out towards the west. Had one viewer sent me a picture of at least some light accumulation on a patio out in Fredericksburg. And I think we're going to see a lot of that over the next couple of hours. Another report of sleet in Williamson County, this time in Georgetown. So a lot of reports north of Austin. I haven't had a ton in the city of Austin. And the main reason is we're still too warm. So you can see that the latest Georgetown temperature sitting just 2 degrees above freezing, at least at the municipal airport, while as at Camp Mabry, it's 37. And I'll show you, we'll zoom in and I'll show you the latest temperature map for the metro. Why we're probably not getting a whole lot of sleet reports, at least not yet. I think that will change over the next couple hours. Many spots are several degrees above freezing, but I mean, you're right there on the bubble, Leander and Cedar Park, and that's why we've already had, just in the last hour, several reports in that part of Williamson County of some sleet. Lago Vista at 32. I have a feeling, though, that 32 temperature reading at Lago Vista is just a hair cold. Lago Vista, for some reason, that weather station runs a little cool, even, you know, on warm days. Yeah. Okay, so just taking a look at some other messages, if I can pass anything on to you. Checking in with the newsroom. Okay, so this is at 7:22, just a few minutes ago. Blanco ISD tweeted, Blanco ISD will have a 2-hour delay tomorrow, November 12th. All buses will run 2 hours later than normal. So they're going to start at 9:55 at BES. I guess that's the elementary school, middle school at 10, high school at 10:05. So Blanco added to the list. We also had earlier during the 6 o'clock hour, Fredericksburg, Harper, and Doss out west in Gillespie County. And now Blanco ISD joining that list of delays. Here in Austin, we haven't heard anything. I think they're monitoring the weather as the Weather Service is and as we are here at KVUE here in Austin. KVUE.com right on the front page, whether you use it on the app or desktop or whatever, they're going to be updating that throughout the night. So first thing in the morning, you can join Brian, Yvonne, and Marielle and Anna V. They'll have a list for you, which will be longer than it is now, I'm sure. They'll have that for you in the news, but also it'll be right there on your phone throughout the night. So those are the only school delays that we have right now. Nothing for the metro, at least not yet. Is it possible? Could there be a delay, you know, for some metro schools? Yeah, I think that's possible. Just by looking at the radar and looking at the temperatures. And we talked about how forecast models are continuing to underestimate how cold this air is. Some of the models last several days and even up to this evening were forecasting Austin to be still in the 40s at 7:30, and we're in the 30s. And you know, they're missing it a little bit. So that's why we're just keeping an eye on the radar and just kind of almost now forecasting and not relying so much on the weather simulations, the weather models, and just kind of, you know, analyzing this stuff with you ourselves. Linda is talking about the Fredericksburg area, wicked weather in Fredericksburg. Linda, tell us what you're experiencing there. Julianne reporting sleet in Leander. Danita is asking about LaGrange. Yeah, so LaGrange, you're quiet right now. Let me show you where the temperature is at in LaGrange. You're probably still in the 40s. Yeah, LaGrange right now at 41, as is Giddings up in Lee County. Your temperatures are going to go below freezing by tomorrow morning. But you know, you're well above freezing right now. And for the most part, the moisture is up towards the north of you. Let's load one of the high resolution forecast models because this is doing a decent job on the precipitation. And this one just came out about 5 minutes ago. So this is the new HRRR model. And we'll look at this together for the first time. 8 o'clock, still showing that rain, sleet mix. 9 o'clock, I still think it's underestimating the temperatures. I think this should be a lot more pink from Austin westward in particular. But notice how the moisture begins to move, nose its way down into Fayette County. Still above freezing, though, at 10 o'clock in Fayette County, so it's just liquid. I think east the interstate, Bastrop, Lee, Fayette County, you probably go below freezing after 1 a.m., and there's still some light moisture, 1 a.m., 2, 3, 4 a.m., so it's going to be overnight while you sleep for the areas east the interstate that could have a little bit of rain mixed in with some sleet. But most even bridges and overpasses out east, I think are going to be okay, just because you're not going to have a ton of time, unlike the hill country that's going to have several hours at or below freezing, and not going to have a ton of time east the interstate to see some, you know, major impacts. So I think there's still a possibility that we see this winter weather advisory extended eastward, including metro. That's still a possibility. We'll see what the Weather Service decides. I think whether there's an advisory posted by the Weather Service or not, you play it safe tomorrow morning and just slow down on bridges and overpasses. TxDOT's going to be keeping an eye on that as well. But then Bastrop and Caldwell and Fayette and Lee and Milam County, we'll keep an eye on it, but at this point, there's not a huge risk of travel impacts for you. At the moment, it's mainly west of Austin in the hill country, all right? Yeah, Carolyn, same thing. We were just talking about Carolyn's in San Marcos. Right now, Doppler radar showing at least a little bit of moisture beginning to increase in northern Hays County. It's pretty quiet in San Marcos. And the temperature right now in San Marcos, let's take a look. I'm curious, 38 right now. So still above freezing. You'll go below freezing maybe as early as 10 o'clock in San Marcos, and we'll see what the moisture is looking at. But there's a solid chance San Marcos will have a rain-sleet mix later on this evening and overnight. Does it accumulate? Probably not in a whole lot of places, but a bridge or overpass in Hays County still could get slick, so there is that risk as well. So this is not a huge winter weather event. I don't want to give you the wrong idea. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of on hanging out with you here for a little bit, just to let you know, at the end of the day, it is November, and we were in the 70s just less than 12 hours ago. So this is not going to be a huge winter weather event. Most of us are going to be just fine. It'll be almost like, oh, look, sleet's hitting my windshield, going to work tomorrow morning. But it's just those handful of folks that got to cross a bridge and overpass and a slick spot here or there that may cause an issue. So I'm just looking at weather service stuff. I get my weather alerts on my phone, so just seeing if there's anything new there. Tabitha, same thing for Wimberley as we're talking about for Hays County. You'll probably go below freezing there in Wimberley. Let's see where you are right now, actually. We have a weather station in Wimberley. 35 right now, so you're probably 90 minutes away from getting a freeze there in Wimberley. Moisture to the north of you right now, but as you get a little bit more moisture later on this evening, say after 10 o'clock, a rain-sleet mix possible, but not major impacts there. Round Rock, same thing. Round Rock, you're at 35 right now, almost the exact same setup as we were just talking about down in Hays County. All right, so anyway, I wanted to do this for about 30 minutes, and we've been doing this for about 34 minutes, and we'll keep you updated in the overnight. The bottom line is tomorrow morning, nothing to be like overly concerned about. First things first, tomorrow morning starting at 4:30, Daybreak will be on, checking with Marielle on the weather side, the traffic side with Anna V. So we got you covered on TV and streaming on KVUE.com. And also Brian and Yvonne will report any additional delays. Ahead of that, coming up on the 10 o'clock news, I'll have the latest forecast. We'll know, I think, by 10 if the Weather Service decides to issue that winter weather advisory for metro counties. So we'll be able to tell you that at the top of the 10 o'clock news. And I think between now and 10, we'll have a few more schools to tell you about that are going with a delay. Already a few delays, all west of Austin, none in the metro. Blanco ISD, Fredericksburg, Doss, Harper, those are all in Gillespie County with the exception of Blanco. So we'll have that as well. But this is almost like a gee whiz, oh my gosh, it's sleeting on November 11th than anything. I think you'll remember this for a long time because this is super rare this early in the season. All right, so I'll leave you with a live camera outside. This is from our downtown camera looking at the south steps of the Texas State Capitol. Hope you have a good rest of the night, everybody. If anything wild happens in the forecast, I'll be sure to jump back on, but let's plan on seeing each other again at 10 o'clock on TV on KVUE and streaming on KVUE.com. We'll see you soon.